The coronavirus pandemic put tens of millions of Americans at risk of being evicted. To protect them, the federal government ordered billions in rent relief and a temporary ban on evictions, first through the CARES Act, later through a moratorium issued by the CDC.
In an unprecedented move, the Trump administration announced a temporary national moratorium on evictions for tens of millions of renters who've lost work.
Over the course of a year, we went to states across the country to see how the protections were being carried out.
Time is running out to keep families from being kicked out of their homes.
And how the effectiveness depended almost entirely on how local officials were enforcing it.
And some states have put a short-term hold on all evictions, but protections are hodgepodge.
A patchwork of eviction policies that vary by state.
Tenants scrambled to understand what their rights were, like Alexis Hatcher in Texas, a state that already had limited protections for tenants.
When the pandemic really started hitting strong in the United States and we started to see business closures and eviction moratoriums, I just started posting explainers on social media just to help people understand exactly what was out there and how it applied to them. Those posts started to be shared quite a lot, and so before I knew it, I was getting phone calls and emails and Facebook messages and tweets and everything else from people all over the county asking for advice on their particular situations.
Mark Melton, Hatcher's attorney, created a network of lawyers to help people at risk of losing their homes.
That's good. This landlord's trying to evict her by email. That's cute.
By email, huh?
Yep.
The government interventions that we've had to date have been helpful, certainly. The problem with this protection is it's not very effective because it doesn't apply automatically. It only applies if those tenants know about the law well enough to sign an official declaration that they have to give to their landlord and the court for it to apply. Oh, is this Jamie? What's going on? I saw your message today at 1 o'clock.
Yes, I'm still behind on my rent, but the thing is my auntie was talking about some type of paper that don't show us the late fees or something.
Well, the late fees are still chargeable, but what city do you live in? These are not deadbeats. These are people that had jobs that felt secure, and then all of a sudden, the business that they work for is closing or they're furloughing people. It was taking months to get unemployment insurance to go through because there was such an overlog of applicants that the state just couldn't process them quickly enough. And so people were really in a bad situation where they had no real options. But they can't force you to leave your home until a court orders them to, or orders you to leave.
Yeah, I know.
In February 2021, a federal judge in Texas cast doubt on the validity of the CDC moratorium, saying it had overstepped its authority.
The CDC's moratorium on evictions is unconstitutional. The judge ruled that while individual states have the power to put such restrictions in place, the federal government does not.
And then separately, the Texas Supreme Court began allowing evictions to move forward, which left many people like Alexis Hatcher in a precarious situation. She became one of the first in the state to be evicted. She had been a manager of a shoe store, which closed during the pandemic. She lost her income and fell behind on her rent.
Court documents for her eviction case show Hatcher filed the necessary CDC declaration, saying she faced homelessness. Still this week, a judge allowed for the eviction to move forward.
Effectively, what happened with Alexis was the CDC moratorium was still there. It didn't go away, but Texas courts decided that the CDC order no longer applied in Texas. As crazy as that is, they started allowing landlords to evict people at will.
In Texas, you have one of the first states to challenge the CDC moratorium, and successfully so.
Throughout the pandemic, Emily Benfer was tracking how states were handling evictions.
Much of a tenant's experience during the pandemic was completely dependent upon the zip code that they lived in. Whether or not you stayed in that home depended almost entirely upon whether or not your landlord was going to comply with the CDC moratorium, or a local moratorium for that matter. What sheriff showed up at your door, and what judge you appeared before